Today I'd like to talk about one of my favorite places. It's right up there with the Ibisu circuit and it's called Racegasmic Drift Polygon. But unlike Ibisu, I don't have to put my car in a container, ship it to Japan and catch a flight myself to get there. It is considerably closer, which is a big plus. So what is this magical place I'm talking about? Well, most of the time it's a beginner driver course. Basically, that is where a driving school will take a beginner driver for the first couple of hours so that they can get used to driving a car before they hit the main road. But every Saturday at 1 PM, it gets a bit more rowdy out here. It turns into a drift playground for about 4 or 5 hours, where you can either drive your own car or rent one. And yes, it's open even in the rain. I personally didn't go if it rained this year, because I still haven't verified if the wiring I did for the swap was waterproof. A requirement is that you demonstrate you are capable of handling your vehicle on your first visit. On the other hand, however, there is no need for FIA certified seats, harnesses, roll cages, but your car should at least be maintained properly so that it's not leaking fluids or falling apart on track. And speaking of track, let's talk about that. It has some elements that make it really good for starting out, but at the same time it can get really technical in some layouts. The start is here, and usually if you're just starting out, you'll just drive to the roundabout, start doing a donut and then transition into whichever of the 3 exits. The layout that more experienced drivers usually take is they initiate at the start, take a sharp right, transition into a long left turn where you hold that drift through the roundabout, transition to the right and then try your best not to straighten out, either pull off a cheeky manji, ride the handbrake or have enough speed and a good line to link this entire section. After that, everyone takes their preferred layout. Obviously, you can take any layout from the start. That's the beauty of the polygon. Each run can be different and you can make it as hard or as easy as you want it to be. The track is also pretty narrow compared to your average racetrack, which means it doesn't really forgive mistakes. I've heard from many people that because of that, if you learn to drive here, it's pretty much easy mode for when you go anywhere else. Because the track isn't really that long and the turns are pretty sharp, you probably won't pick up much speed. Which is good, because if you ever go off track, most of the time you won't go far and you won't ruin your car. One thing that you do have to be careful about is the ruts that form on the outside of the track when people drop a wheel off track. Some of them end with a concrete patch, which if you hit it at just the right angle and with enough speed will break your wheel at best and break your subframe at worst. Another thing to note is that some people don't come here to drive, but just to hang out, so a lot of the time you'll see all sorts of interesting street cars. As far as drift cars are concerned, there's a lot of variation, from beat up missiles to street legal cars and sometimes even a competition spec car. Now let's talk a little bit about the cars that you'll see trashing around. Let's not pretend that there is any kind of brand diversity here. BMW chassis are the most cost effective here, parts are easy to find and there's plenty of aftermarket support. Currently we're already out of the E36 era and well into the era of the E46. That is why the most popular platform you'll see is the E46. This is Klemen's 323i and is a great example of your average polygon drift car. It's got a half-gutted interior, max speeding rods, coilovers, hydraulic handbrake, bucket seats, short shifter and various tiny reliability mods. A car that is built to be super simple and super reliable to get you as much seat time as possible. The 2.3-liter M52 is also a good engine and is pretty popular. It is also used in all of the Polygon's rentable drift cars. Its 170 horsepower doesn't seem like a huge improvement over the 2 liters 150, but in practice it feels like a completely different car. With a 2 liter you might struggle to drive certain layouts, but with the 2.3 liter you'll be able to comfortably pull off anything and sometimes even in higher gears. Of course, bigger is better, but even though his car is only a 2.3, Klemen still drives it for everything it's got. Next, I want to show you the best car and driver in our local grassroots scene. This is Erik's E36. If that sticker seems familiar, it's because Erik runs Skidshop, which you might remember from my swap series. He develops and tests almost all the parts he sells. He is hands down the best driver in the local grassroots scene. Every competition he's put up against cars of double his power or more, and he still manages to win. Besides all that, he is also very knowledgeable in all things E30, E36 or E46, and often helps out anyone in the community having trouble with their car. He also runs a YouTube channel where he documents his builds and track days, as well as showcases some interesting builds of other people. It's an amazing channel and you should definitely give it a try if you're at least a little bit interested in this stuff. Now let's talk a little bit about his car. It's an E36 sedan that through its life has gone through multiple different BMW 6-bangers and is now sporting a Toyota 1UZ FE 4-liter V8. Equipped with a standalone ECU, BC racing coilovers, bucket seats and pretty much everything available from Skidshop, this car allows Erik to tear up the polygon like it's nobody's business. While it's true that BMW chassis are by far the most common here, once in a blue moon you'll also be able to see something else. Like for example this W208 CLK 230 compressor. Since Mercedes-Benz is also known as the Lexus of Europe, some of them make for pretty alright drift cars. Plus, it's pretty rare to see forced induction in a grassroots drift car, and it's even more rare for that to be a supercharger. I find that super cool, especially the unique soundtrack you get while driving. This W208 was originally built by Erik and was extensively modified to make it the best slider it could be. It was then sold to new owners who gave me a tour of all of the mods.
Koliko je to? 2.3 kompresor, 193 konjev navaden. Okay. Po moje barov dela 0.6, bara. Po moje tam okrog 240 konjev navora, pa nekaj po moje. Sigurno ni bil na Dynotu, pač sam gre, to je mnogo. Vidiš dve vzmeti. Ja. Mora je, da v spredi rab biti trši avto, da je bolj trd, da ga ne premetava in tako je rešil prejšnji lastnik, da je do 2.5. Podaljšan je tudi, leto je podaljšana malo, se pravi, da ima več kota, distančniki so gor, da isto pač kaj drugače po sosi drajcu. V zadnji je pa odrezan feder, da se vidi, da je malo manjši, pa je ful bolj mehak avto. Vidiš, spredi se ne bo premaknil. Pa narejen je, da je roke sadne spremenil, se pravi, da ko gre pod gas, pa gre avto dol, da se kolesa je to in se naredi, se pravi, da ga bolj rine naprej. Plažnik je odrezan, potranje nima quick disconnect volan, pasovi. Na motorju je bilo pa narejen, da sta bili, pač povečana je bila jermenica glavna za kompresor, pa vse pač odstranjeni so bili vse blokade za zvok. Pa pač filter je sam še, pa direkt noter v kompresor, ga čez intercooler. On je imel še, da je pumpa za šipe, mu je špricala na intercooler, da ga je hladila. Sam mi nismo videli, da je neke razlike, pa se sam pač ne dajva vode noter.
Aha, okej.
To je cel proces, da ga požgeš.
Okej.
Pumpa za benz.
Ja.
Ključ. To zajebeš, pol nam žge in pol...
Honestly, with drifting, even if you're super careful about it, you'll probably still crash at some point. Shit like that happens. It's important to quickly fix it up, to get back out there on the track and continue getting seat time. The lads from Avtospotter workshop had a minor fender bender and quickly pulled off all the broken stuff, straightened out the radiator support with the help of a tree, and quickly got back at it. They were nice enough to give me a ride in their compact that actually doesn't have a seatbelt for the passenger, which was an experience. I also highly recommend you check them out on Instagram and YouTube. They post these really unique drift videos and pretty insane fabrication work, all filmed with an old school VHS camera. That's basically the Racegasmic drift polygon. If you ever want to slide your car in a controlled environment, this is pretty much the perfect place. Also, follow them on social media for recent updates and events that they organize. Consider also checking out all of the people mentioned in this video. Their social media are down in the description. I also had a couple of my own adventures on the polygon this year, and if you're interested, stick around because all of that and more is gonna be in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.